Hare Krishna. First of all, I would like to seek the blessings of all the senior devotees present here before embarking on this Herculean task of trying to complete from Bhagavatam from Cantos 2 to Canto 12. I mean, the plan was to divide it over 3 days, but I somehow just got carried away by the first canto. And yesterday and day before, we just really covered the first canto. So, trying to see if we could look at the Srimad Bhagavatam now to go from Canto 2 to Canto 12 in about an hour and 45 minutes till 9:15. We will see. Parikshit Maharaj did it for 7 days and 7 nights. So for all of us to finish in such a short time, it's such an exhaustive topic, not an easy thing to do. But let us see if we can go through it. So, Canto 2, Chapter 10, verse number 1, Srila Shukadeva Goswami tells Parikshit Maharaj about the 10 topics that are covered in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Bhagavad Gita, 5 topics are covered. Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala and Karma. Ishvara, the Supreme Lord. Jiva, the spirit soul. Prakriti, material nature. Kala, time. And Karma, activities. These are the 5 topics covered in the Gita. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 10 topics that span the entire book between Canto 2 to Canto 12. And this verse explains what the topics are. Atra sarga visargascha sthanam poshanam utaya manvantaras ishanukatha nirodho muktir ashraya. The first 2 topics, sarga and visarga, are covered in the second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So these 2 topics we will now discuss from the second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sarga means primary creation and Visarga means secondary creation. So the whole second canto is talking about the creation of this material universe. Oftentimes people ask us this question, why did Lord Krishna create this universe? What was the need for creating this whole world and this whole universe and bringing us all into this material tabernacle, as they say? Why? So there's a very good explanation for this. When there is a fantastic orchestra with about 150 to 180 musicians playing, there's about 30 violinists, 20 guitarists, 3 drummers, so a whole range of people, all expert musicians. And there is a conductor, the music conductor. He stands there and he simply waves his hands and gives indications. And all of these instrument players, as per the directions given by the conductor, start playing their music. All in perfect harmony, in perfect symphony. As soon as the conductor goes, violin, all violinists go together, 50, 80 of them, and it's such a perfect symphony. And as soon as he gives the indication to the guitarist, they start. This whole orchestra is a fantastic performance because of the cooperation and the harmony of all, based on the directions given by the conductor. As soon as one of the musicians thinks, why should I follow this man? I want to make a mark. Here, no one notes me. When you're in symphony, no one takes note. When 200 violinists are strumming the strings of the violin, no one takes note. It's everyone's performance. But this one guy feels, why should it be everyone's performance? It should be my performance. So as soon as this guy thinks, I want that attention, and he starts playing something on his own, separately, what a cacophony it is. From a simple symphony, it turns to a cacophony because this guy is off the key. He's off the note. He's trying to do it himself. And then the conductor realizes, this man is not a team player. He cannot be in a team. He wants to be on his own. Okay, he needs a separate room. Send him to a separate room, give him his own room, give him the violin, say play all day long. If you can't be a part of the orchestra and cooperate with the other musicians, no problem. Take your room, do your own business. And then he is separated. The spiritual world is an orchestra. Krishna is the conductor of that orchestra in Golok Vrindavan. All living entities are the different musicians in the 5 rasas of Dasya, Sakhya, Madhurya, Vatsalya and Shantaras. All these 5 rasas are the varieties of musicians. Music means variety. Orchestra means variety. There's all variety in the spiritual world and everyone is in sync with Krishna's will. Orchestra means all the music players are in sync with the conductor's will. As he dictates, so do everyone do these things. Follow his orders. Similarly, in the spiritual world, Krishna is the conductor and everyone is in sync with his will. Everyone does things the way he wants. And there's a loving interchange of rasa. As soon as a living entity thinks, I'm not getting my attention here. Here Krishna is the focus and all of us are simply subordinate following the conductor. I want an attention for myself. So just like the musician who wants attention is given a separate room, similarly, the jiva who wants attention is given a separate universe. This whole material universe and this whole material cosmos is only meant to facilitate the separatist mentality of the jiva. Just like this musician who is a separatist and is not a team player. Similarly, the jiva is not a team player. He doesn't want to be with the other jivas in the spiritual world. He doesn't want to be with Krishna. He's a separatist, wants to be separate. And Krishna says, you want to be separate? Can't be here. In a team, you can't be separate. Okay, fine. Create a material universe. So the whole purpose of Sarga and Visarga, which are the first 2 topics of the Bhagavatam, mentioned in Canto 2, is simply to facilitate the separatist mentality of all of us. The jivas want to be separate, want attention, want name, want fame, want adoration, all separate from Krishna. That's what this musician wants. I can't be a team player. And we see even after coming to ISKCON, where we are once again trying to be an orchestra, after living a life of separatism from Krishna, when we come here and again try to practice Krishna consciousness, to try to be in sync with Prabhupada and Krishna's will, even within here we want our own separate violin. That's the sad part. Even here we want a separate violin and want separate attention. My God. At least in spirituality this should be resolved. But no. That's just the nature of the jiva. Attention seeking. Everyone wants the front seat of the bus, the back seat of the church, and the center of attention. Want to be the center of attention somehow. You see? And therefore Krishna facilitates it. Okay, take a separate room, play your violin, do the way you want. Now, will Krishna be able, and there are so many jivas, will he make a separate universe for everyone? So many jivas want to come here. No, what he does is, he makes one universe and he gives a software in the mind of every jiva. Sends all to one universe and each jiva has a software in his mind. That software is called the false ego. When the jiva comes to this world with this software called the false ego makes him think, I have my own universe around me. Within the universe, everyone is living in his or her own universe. My life, my family, my child, my job, I. There are multiple universes within this universe. Within this city called London, there are multiple universes. This software called the false ego makes a person think, yes, ultimately, this is my world. This is where I am the boss. No one listens to me, but here at home, how can she not listen? Has to. She has to listen. And guy was a boss in an office, and this man put up a sign on his door, the office door. Jai Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Jai Shri Radha Gokulanand Bhagavan ki, Jai Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ji ki, Jai. He put a sign on his office. He was the boss of the office, saying, I am the boss of this office. So everyone, he's clearly putting a sign right outside the door. I'm the boss of the office. And this man had to go for some meeting outside, and when he got back, the sign wasn't there. So he said, where is the sign? He said, the people there said your wife called and said that sign belongs home. Send it back. I am the boss of this office. Everyone is given a software. Every jiva in this universe is given a software with which he thinks I am the one. I am the one who is the Lord. I am the one who is controlling it all. And Srila Prabhupada explains, that is why Krishna creates variety. If there's no variety and everyone and everything is the same, how will anyone think I'm better than the other? If everyone looks the same, how will I think I'm better than him or her? If everyone has the same car, the same home, the same clothes, the same food, how will anyone think I'm better than the other? Variety in this universe is needed. Needed in order that the false ego is facilitated. So one starts feeling, okay, here I am, better than the other person, And therefore, Sarga and Visarga, the first two topics of the Srimad Bhagavatam, is about creation of this universe. How this universe was created by Lord Krishna as a facility for the separatist jiva to enjoy. Sarga means primary creation and Visarga means secondary creation. What is primary creation? Simple example. Very simple. In Govardhan, we have this sweet shop called Giriraj Mishtan Bhandar. And they make son papdi. How many of you had son papdi from Giriraj Mishtan Bhandar? If you haven't, there is something you're missing in life. It's quite amazing. Bhadrangapuru Prabhu is saying, no, it's not amazing. From there is indicating, no. It's quite amazing, this son papdi, And our devotees went there to learn son papdi. And he didn't teach. He said, you're coming and asking us to just teach the secret formula? Two of our devotees, one was a professor in a university before. And the other was an engineer, aerospace engineer from IIT Bombay. Both of them were sent to learn son papdi. Two technocrats. And this man, Bhagwan Das Halwai, who is the owner of the shop, he said, what is this? You want to learn? You don't learn like this. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. First do pranipat, submission. Then do sevaya. For 3 months he made them clean pots. Simply clean pots. And checked if their service attitude was proper. And after having seen that he's alright, then he gave them the formula. And Bhagwan Das Halwai, who is the owner of the shop, he's Sarga. Sarga means providing the ingredients. All the requirements for son papdi are given by Bhagwan Das Halwai. That is Krishna. But he's not Bhagwan Das, he's Bhagwan. This is Bhagwan Das Halwai, that is Bhagwan. All the ingredients that are required for making this universe, earth, water, fire, air, ether, all the 24 elements are given by Krishna. Just like the owner of the shop, in order to make that son papdi sweet, gives all the ingredients. And then there are the cooks who put it all together and make the son papdi. And it's not easy, by the way, to make son papdi. That whole mixture in ghee and chickpea flour, besan, it has to be so hot, and while it is hot, one has to use the hand straight from the fire when it's pulled down to spread it and pull it. First the hand has to get burnt and get seasoned. Then you can make son papdi. Without the hand being burnt, it's impossible to make son papdi. So that is called Visarga. Sarga means the providing of the ingredients. Primary creation. Visarga means putting together of the ingredients. Secondary creation. Krishna does the primary creation by providing all the ingredients. And Lord Brahma does the secondary creation, Visarga, by putting it all together. So Krishna is the owner of the shop and Brahma is the head chef who's putting all the ingredients together to create the Son Papdi, to create this material universe, And then it's a whole different thing, and it's such a technical canto 2, very technical, Lord Vishnu is lying, and then the lotus flower sprouts and Brahma is born on top. One man came to our temple and saw this diorama of Vishnu lying and, Brahma being born, universe is coming out of Mahavishnu. He said, "Arey, your God is amazing." He said in Hindi, "So bhi raha hai, kaam bhi ho raha hai." He said, "Amazing your God is. He's sleeping and his work is also being done." Amazing God. Having a good time sleeping and creation is happening. My God. He was quite amazed. So this whole canto talks about creation of the material universe. Primary creation, Sarga, and secondary creation, Visarga, and how Maya, the material energy, keeps everyone updated with the software. She keeps updating the software of the false ego constantly. Constant updates on the software. What does she do? 4 or 5 things. The first thing she convinces us is, we are this body. First thing, we are the body. Look at our language, we ask, how is everybody at home? Do we ever ask, how is every soul at home? Even in our language we can see, how is everybody at home? She convinces us, we are the body. The second thing she convinces us is, we are the master. The third thing she convinces us is, we are the controller. And the fourth thing she convinces us is, we are the enjoyer. What a software. While in this material universe, I don't know how many of you have seen this little clip called Bingo the Clowno. There's a little guy sitting there, tiny little fellow, in the middle of the circus arena, just a little boy. And someone comes and says, "Hi, Bingo." He doesn't look. He doesn't see him. Again she says, "Hello, Bingo." Doesn't pay any. His name is not Bingo. "Hi, Bingo." He looks. He says, "I'm not Bingo." "Bingo." "I'm not Bingo." Then a lady comes. "Bingo. How are you, Bingo?" Bingo, 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 Bingo. Everyone comes and just bombards him. Bingo, Bingo, Bingo. And he keeps saying, I'm not Bingo. And then someone comes and offers him money. And it's a beautiful clip if you like to watch it. It's on the YouTube. You may want to watch it. And at the end of it all, as the clip ends, he says, I am. Actually, I am. I am Bingo. Bingo. Yes, I am Bingo. Bingo the Clowno. Bingo. Bingo the Clowno. You should see that clip. It's amazing. You will see how Sarga and Visarga works just in that one clip. It's quite amazing, We are all that guy. Sitting here in this circus of the material world. And constantly the material energy is whispering, you're the body. No, Jiver Swarup Hoy Krishna Nityadas. I am servant. You are the body. I'm not the body. Body, You are the body. Look at the mirror, so beautiful. Body. Yeah. Yes, I am the body. I am the body. Body, yes, I am the body. I am the master. I am the controller. I am the enjoyer. My goodness. The material energy convinces us about these things that I am actually the body. And keeps us going, in this material universe. And therefore, at the very outset, Sarga and Visarga are explained. Primary creation and secondary creation, and how the living entity is kept bound in this material world by Maya. And Srila Prabhupada said, this is a pastime of Krishna. He said, everyone wants to hear the Ras Leela of Krishna. There is also the creation Leela of Krishna. First, one should also listen to the creation pastimes of Krishna. And the first 9 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam talk about the greatness of Krishna. And the 10th canto talks about the sweetness of Krishna. And therefore, progressively when we go from the first 9 cantos and understand His greatness, we prepare our consciousness to come to the 10th canto to understand His sweetness. The first 9 cantos are Krishna in His office. And the 10th canto is Krishna at home. When someone is in his office, his greatness is seen. Hey, he knows programming so well. Hey, he can manage everyone so well. So the first 9 cantos is Krishna's management, Krishna's creation. And then the 10th canto is Krishna at home. With his boyfriends, girlfriends, parents, his personal life. The 10th canto is the sweetness of Krishna's personal life. And therefore going through the 9 cantos progressively, trying to understand Krishna's greatness, brings us to Krishna's sweetness, which is the 10th canto. Thus, if someone just goes to, a bus stop, and there's an alien man standing there, and says, what's the name of your wife? He says, come again? Sir, I asked you a question, what's your wife's name? By the way, when did you fall in love with each other? Where did you go for your honeymoon? That guy said, I'll whack you, man. What are you asking these questions? You're asking me such personal questions? Unless there is a relationship with a person, can we ask questions like this? Only when there is a relationship with someone can we dare ask this question. Where did you meet your wife first? When did you get married? And where were you traveling after your marriage for your honeymoon? 9 cantos develop a relationship with Krishna. The first 9 cantos which describe the greatness of Krishna are all meant to first make a relationship with Krishna. And when that relationship is made, then the 10th canto comes, which is the personal life of Krishna, along with his cowherd damsels and along with his cowherd friends. The first 2 cantos are compared to the lotus feet of the Lord. And therefore, when we take darshan of the deity, we don't directly look at the deity's face. We move from the lotus feet upwards in our meditation towards the lotus face of the Lord, and so is the Srimad Bhagavatam. The first 2 cantos are like the 2 lotus feet of the Lord, and canto 2 talks about Sarga and Visarga, primary creation, supplying the ingredients, secondary creation, putting the ingredients together, Vishnu and Brahma. The next topic is Sthanam, And the 3rd, 4th and 5th canto describe this topic called Sthanam. What does Sthanam mean? Sthan means position. And here Sthanam means the right position of the living entity. What is the wrong position of the living entity? Sarga Visarga. He is in this material universe. What is the right position of the living entity? Sthanam, the spiritual world. And now the process of transferring from Sarga Visarga to the spiritual world, which is Sthanam, is required. And therefore, it is explained. What is Sthanam? Sthitihi Vaikuntha Vijaya. Sthitihi Vaikuntha Vijaya means the right position of the living entity is Vaikuntha, the spiritual world. And these 3 cantos, 3rd, 4th and 5th cantos, describe how the Lord wants to destroy the sufferings of all living entities and how the Lord protects His devotees. Canto 3, Canto 4 and Canto 5 talk about protection that the Lord offers to His devotees. Therefore we find in Canto 3 Jai and Vijay, devotees of the Lord, cursed to become Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And then we also find Lord Varahadev coming and reinstating them back. Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, and then we have Ravan, and then of course we have Jagai Madhai also. But this particular topic is about how the Lord reinstates protects the jivas, protects his devotees, and brings them back to their original position, Vaikuntha. Sthitihi Vaikuntha Vijaya. Therefore we find in third canto how Jaya and Vijay fall down. And then we also have description of Kapila Dev talking to Mother Devahuti about the Sankhya philosophy. And there is a whole description of the spiritual world, Vaikuntha. Chapter 15, Canto 3, is a very beautiful chapter. Whereas the first two topics, Sarga and Visarga, talk about material universe, the third topic, Sthanam, talks about the spiritual universe also. And there's a description of the kingdom of God. And what is the description given there? Beautiful description. All the residents are moving around in their planes in Vaikuntha. All the residents of Vaikuntha. And there are beautiful ladies all over. Everywhere in Vaikuntha there are beautiful ladies like Lakshmi, Shri Rupinis. But not one person, not one of those men there pay any attention to those ladies. The third canto describes how that world is a world of love. A world where everyone simply wants to love Krishna. The ladies, the men, and everyone together. Their center is to serve Krishna and to love Krishna. So much so that there are beautiful birds like the cuckoo bird. And the cuckoo bird has such a sweet voice. The peacock sings, the cuckoo sings, the chakravaka sings. All of these birds sing. But as soon as the bumblebee starts buzzing, the bumblebee comes around the garland of Lord Vishnu, and as the bumblebee starts coming across the garland of Lord Vishnu and makes this buzzing sound to glorify the Lord, Kolahalo Viramate Achiram Matramuchai, Kolahal makes this sound. Suddenly, all the other birds keep quiet. There is a lull in the atmosphere. Silence. All together they want to simply hear the bumblebee. And the bumblebee doesn't have a sweet voice. The cuckoo has a sweet voice. You've heard. The peacock makes a sweet voice. We've heard. But the bumblebee only is It's like the devotees japa sometimes. Hare Krishna. Not a very sweet sound. The cuckoo, who is such a sweet singer, the peacock, who makes such a beautiful sound, quiet. You know why? Because the bumblebee, Bhringadhipe Harikatham Ivagayamani. When the bumblebee is going around humming, sings Harikatha, and everyone keeps quiet. In the spiritual world, it's not about expertise. The spiritual world is about consciousness. And all the birds are silent to listen to the bumblebee singing Harikatha. Srila Prabhupada, his voice, we hear him singing Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Where's the voice? Musically, and from the point of view of music and singing, where is the voice? Bhringadipe Harikatham Ivagayamane. Like when the bumblebee starts singing, all the expert singers, the cuckoo, the peacock, there is a lull. And everyone wants to hear the bumblebee because of the bumblebee's devotion to the Lord. When the bumblebee hums and buzzes Krishna Katha, glorifying the Lord, singing the glories of the Lord. And therefore, in speaking Krishna Katha or in singing Kirtan, it's not about the fanciness of the talk or the sweetness of the voice. The problem with the material world is we go by the external things, even in Krishna consciousness. forgetting what the substance behind it is. The substance is not the voice, it's not the sweet singing. It's not the fanciness of what jokes and what stories and what shlokas can be quoted in a class. No. It is about the consciousness. It is about the consciousness with which it is spoken or sung. I usually give the example of a car. A car is meant to take a passenger from one place to the other. And the words of a speaker or someone singing Krishna Nam is like that car. But the passenger in that car is the consciousness. So it's not the words alone. We may hear the words, but those words carry the consciousness of the speaker or the singer, Thus, we may hear some professional singer sing the holy name. Not the same. When we hear Srila Prabhupada sing the holy name, one cannot imagine what a revolution it created. Srila Prabhupada singing the Hare Krishna mantra, even today, many people who are not Hare Krishna devotees, they say we don't want to listen to everything. All of this is good, but give us Swamiji's tape. Give us that tape. Bhringadipe Harikatham Iva Gayamana. When the bumblebee sings, there is a lull in the atmosphere in the spiritual world. Spiritual world is not about the form, it is about the substance. Spiritual world is not about the container, it is about the content. In this world, we value the container. In that world, content is valued. In this world, we value the form. In that world, substance is valued. And therefore, we see here, in the 15th chapter of Canto 3, Sthanam, description of Vaikuntha, the spiritual world. And then we find there are fragrant flowers, like the lily, like the parijat, like the kumud, like the mandar flowers. They're all very fragrant. But all of them unanimously honor Tulasi. Gandherchita tulasika bharanena tasya yasmin stapaha. Because of her tapa, because of the austerities that she did to serve Krishna and honor Krishna. In a community of devotees, if this is the consciousness, it is Vaikuntha. Where there is a lull, it's not about expertise, it's about who has that consciousness. Of course, expertise to serve undoubtedly. But it's not about me. Whoever can serve Krishna better, he should be allowed to give the chance. He should be allowed to offer that service. A Vaishnava community is a community where it's not about me. That's Vaikuntha. It's about service to Krishna. It is about service to Srila Prabhupada. And if a Bhringa can do it, let the Bhringa do it. If Tulsi pleases Krishna, let Tulsi do it. And everyone else who is so fragrant allows Tulsi to be on the lotus feet of Krishna. There's no competition between the Parijat flower and Tulsi. Parijat flower doesn't think that, Tulsi has a special position on Krishna's lotus feet, pulling Tulsi down and going on Krishna's feet, because I am also a special fragrant flower. The spiritual world is about harmony and cooperation. So this is Canto 3, Sthanam, description of the spiritual world and how Krishna protects his devotees. Canto 4 continues with Sthanam, how Krishna protects his devotees. And now there is a discussion at the beginning of Canto 4 and an episode between a father-in-law and a son-in-law. It's a whole episode between a father-in-law and a son-in-law. A father-in-law who just cannot stand his son-in-law. Cannot take his son-in-law. An elderly couple had 3 daughters, and they got all their 3 daughters married. So they had 3 son-in-laws. And one day one of the son-in-laws was standing on the banks of a river and his mother-in-law was there and she fell in the river. So he thought, she's creating trouble for me, but after all she's my mother-in-law, I must protect her. So he pulled her out, The next morning there was a Ferrari standing in front of his house. And there was a tag there saying, "Thank you for saving, love your mother-in-law." Wealthy mother-in-law. God sent a Ferrari as a gift. 6 months later, another son-in-law, the second one, was standing on the banks of the river. Mother-in-law, she fell again. He thought, oh, I have to save her. So the second son-in-law pulled her out. Next morning there was a Bentley, standing in front of the second son-in-law's house, and there was a tag saying, "Thank you for saving me. Love, your mother-in-law." After 6 months again, the third son-in-law was standing on the banks of a river and the mother-in-law was there. She fell in the river and he thought, she's given me such a tough time, I'm not going to save her. And he allowed her to drown. Next day, there was a long limousine standing in front of his house and there was a tag saying, "Thank you for saving me. Love, your father-in-law." Hare Krishna. The fourth canto begins with some misunderstanding between a father-in-law and a son-in-law. The father-in-law, Prajapati Daksha. The son-in-law, Lord Shiva. A whole big yajna arranged. Everyone is there. All the administrators, devas of the universe are all sitting there. All excited about the yajna. Only the hero, Prajapati Daksha, has to walk in. And Lord Shiva is the son-in-law because Daksha's Sati, daughter Sati, is given in marriage to Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva is such a great devotee, such a great Vaishnava. Completely absorbed in meditation, his eyes were closed. And Daksha walked in. Everyone got up to honor Daksha, except the son-in-law. Now that was too much. Everyone is getting up and he is my own son-in-law and this gentleman doesn't have the culture, doesn't have even little Sanskriti to get up and honor his son-in-law, his father-in-law. He was annoyed, extremely upset. It wasn't about just not getting up. There was already a problem inside. Unless there's already a problem inside, no one's behavior upsets us. Whose behavior upsets us? Only those people whom we already have a problem with. Then whatever that person does just doesn't go through. Isn't it? Don't we all know this? That if someone just doesn't like us, whatever we do, that person will not appreciate it. Whatever we do. We may do the biggest of all things and we may become the Prime Minister of England. Still that person will say, so what? So what? He's the Prime Minister of England now. So what? Whatever a person does. If there is a dislike, no question of appreciating. And whatever a person does, if there is liking, even if it does something, no problem. It's okay. Huh? It's okay. Behavior is driven by likes or dislikes within. We say things and we do things based on what is within, Daksha didn't like Lord Shiva. And therefore, when Lord Shiva did not get up, oh God, that man gave it to Lord Shiva. He called him monkey-eyed. Your eyes are like the eyes of a monkey. Imagine saying this to Lord Shiva, who is such a great devotee, saying, my daughter has the eyes like a doe and your eyes are like a monkey. Don't take a bath, you don't remain clean, look at your appearance, you're such a horrible guy. I made a mistake by giving my daughter in marriage to a person like you. My God, it was too much. And then the whole episode goes on, and Lord Shiva is such a great devotee, completely absorbed. And he has such taste for the Srimad Bhagavatam. In Kerala, there is a place called Guruvayur, deity of Lord Krishna there. And close to Guruvayur is a place called Kottiyur. And Kottiyur has a temple of Lord Shiva, beautiful Shivlingam. There was a great devotee in Kerala whose name was Pundanam. And Pundanam was such a student of the Srimad Bhagavatam, studied the Bhagavatam so amazingly, and he would speak on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hundreds and thousands of people would come to hear him. This temple of Lord Shiva is closed all year except for 1 month of the year, where the temple opens for everyone. So one year, Pundanam thought, I'll go and speak the Bhagavatam in the Shiva temple in Kottiyur for that 1 month. He came there and sat. And he just opened the Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 10 And chapter 60, the Bhagavatam was open to chapter 60, where Lord Krishna is teasing Rukmini Devi. That day he recited that chapter. Jai Shri Radha Gokulanand ki, Jai Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ji ki, Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Jai. He recited that chapter, and to wherever he reached, he put a bookmark there, so that the next day he would continue from there on. The next day when he came, the bookmark was again at chapter 60, right from the beginning. So he said, anyway, since it's there, I'll continue it. So he repeated the whole thing again and put the bookmark at the end. Every single day he would come to recite the Bhagavatam. The bookmark would come back to the first page where chapter 60 began. Anyways, he did it. Every day he repeated the same katha, same thing every day for 1 month. And then after 1 month, the temple was closed. He left. And when he left, he realized that he forgot the copy of the Srimad Bhagavatam in the temple. So he came back to check, take his copy of the Srimad Bhagavatam back. The temple was closed and he was hearing some sound. Through the keyhole, he saw Lord Shiva was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to Mother Parvati. And he recited chapter 60 of the 10th canto, Krishna's teasing Rukmini. And after and all his Bhutaganas, all the ghosts, hobgoblins, all his followers were all around and hearing Krishna Katha. Quite an amazing scene. Imagine a Bhagavatam class where ghosts are sitting and hearing class. I mean, they may be somewhere around. We are not able to see them, but you can imagine a scene like that. All these ghosts and hobgoblins sitting and hearing Bhagavatam. And at the end of the recitation, Lord Shiva asked Parvati, so how did you like my class? He said it was good. But wasn't as good as Pundanam. Wasn't as sweet as him. Shiva said, exactly. That's what I felt. He recites Bhagavatam so sweetly. Every day I would change the bookmark to the same place because this is my favorite chapter. Lord Krishna teasing Rukmini. That's Lord Shiva, absorbed in Krishna, absorbed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And here is Daksha calling him a monkey-eyed one and unclean and all kinds of words. Hare Krishna. It was supposed to be a Ishtagoshti. It ended up to become a Mushti Goshti. Mushti means punching in Sanskrit. So Ishtagoshti became a Mushti Goshti. Lunch program became a punch program. My God. There was a big fight going on there. All of Daksha's people and Lord Shiva's associates. My God. And at the end of it all, Daksha's head was cut and finally replaced with a goat head. And Daksha repented, regretted. Sthanam. Krishna protects his devotees. Sthanam refers to protection, And what is true protection? Even if one makes a mistake, the regret, the repentance, Krishna gives that regret from within to his sincere devotees. Many people in the world do so many wrong things, they do so many blunders, but they don't have this feeling of regret. They don't have this feeling of repentance. For a devotee, when there is regret or repentance over anything wrong done, it is Krishna personally protecting that devotee, because when there is regret and repentance, there is an impetus to change and improve the quality of devotional service. This was a big Vaishnava aparat. He had committed a Vaishnava aparat. And so when we live in the community of devotees, we say things sometimes. We do things sometimes. Because all of us have conditioned natures, And the conditioned nature just pushes us to say or do things which many times we don't want to. We don't want to. But just such a strong conditioning, just comes out. But if someone's sincere in the process of Krishna consciousness, like Daksha was protected by Lord Krishna, Sthanam, through that regret and repentance. Similarly, a devotee is protected by Krishna by making him feel regretful. I shouldn't have said this. How many of us go through this? That I shouldn't have said this. I shouldn't have done this. Sthanam. That is Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is not a book. It's not just a book. It is a dynamic action in the lives of devotees. Look at this episode, Daksha. That regret is called sthanam, or protection given by Krishna. I don't know if you ever have gone through this. We say something to a devotee and then we want to say sorry. Why should I say sorry? I was also right. Why should I say sorry? And then in the night we come and lay down in bed and say, I shouldn't have done it actually. Should I say a sorry? Then you type an SMS message, a text message. Prabhu, actually I should not have said a sorry. I should not have said this to you or done this to you. Sorry, I'm extremely sorry. Please forgive me. And then you keep looking at the SMS. Should I send it? Not send it. Send it? Not send it. Why should I bow down? Send it? Not send it. And then finally we press the send button. And what peaceful rest, Peacefully sleep. Isn't it? Just peacefully go to bed by pushing that one send button. That is sthanam. To push that send button is sthanam. Krishna giving that inspiration. Push it. Touch that button. Send it. Send the message. Doesn't matter. That regret, that repentance, that inspiration to work on what the wrong we have done is the protection that Krishna gives his devotee. And the episode of Daksha and Shiva shows that principle. Then in the 4th canto, we move on to Dhruva Maharaj. The next story of Dhruva Maharaj, of how Lord Krishna protected Dhruva. Dhruva was very upset when his stepmother Suruchi had insulted him like anything. He was a Kshatriya boy. His blood was boiling. We are not Kshatriyas. And if someone insults us, our blood boils. In spite of not being Kshatriyas, our blood boils. You can imagine Kshatriyas when they are insulted, it's just boiling. He was hissing like an angry snake, red like an apple, And he came towards his mother, Suniti. Suniti said, my dear son, I truly want to help you. But you know what? I just don't have the capacity to help you. And that's the material world. Everyone around us wants to help us. Many people want, not everyone. There are people who want to help us. But they just find the inability, the lack of capacity to provide that help. Imagine someone who is in a state of chronic depression. Psychiatrists are not able to do anything. Devotees are talking to him, not able to do anything. And we just sit there realizing, what should I do with this person? How do I bring his or her spirits up again, We realize the lack of capacity to help. There's only one person who can help. Krishna. Connection to Krishna can help, And of course, all other help is required. Medical help, psychiatric help required to set a person and bring to a certain state of mind. Suniti said to Dhruva, my dear son, you come to me crying. I am crying. Both of us will make a nice pool of tears and swim in it. What can we do? Both of us can just create a bigger pool of tears. Go to Krishna. Dhruva leaves home. Narad Muni meets him on his way. Gives him instructions to practice devotional service. And Dhruva practices devotional service to the Lord. In 6 months of his austerities, Lord Vishnu comes in front of him and gives him his darshan. And says, Dhruva, ask what do you want? And Dhruva came to the forest only to get one thing. A kingdom greater than his great-grandfather Brahma. I want to just show my stepmother Suruchi, what the hell does she think of herself, She pulled me down from the lap of my father. I want to show her that I can do something. I can achieve something. The sense of achievement. The sense of accomplishment. Anyone whose self-esteem is hurt wants to show it to the world. Don't think I'm a gone case. Don't think I'm a useless case. I also want to show you that I can do something, He goes there. The Lord says, ask what you want. And suddenly he says, I'm satisfied. I don't want anything. I came here asking for a kingdom, but I have achieved you. What more can I want? I was running after external assets. Now I have achieved internal assets. The world is running after external assets and external conquest. Now I have achieved internal asset of devotion and love unto your lotus feet, my dear Lord. I don't want anything, But The Lord says, no, you've come to me. The world will think that I don't give anything if someone comes to me. Take it. And he gives him rule for 36,000 years. And then gives a whole planet called the Dhruva Loka for him to reside there. And then, as his 36,000 years are over, Dhruva suddenly finds one day a Vaikuntha airplane coming down, And as the Vaikuntha airplane comes down, Dhruva sees death personified walk towards him. And as death personified walks, Dhruva circumambulates the airplane, performs his morning duties, offers obeisances to all the devotees, and then steps on the head of death, makes the head of death personified as a step to climb the Vaikuntha airplane, and leaves, leaves for the spiritual world. And then as he's leaving, he turns around and says, where's my mother? Suniti. She was the one. She was the one who sent me to the Lord. Hadn't it been for her, I wouldn't have seen this day. I wouldn't have seen this day. He's so grateful to his mother. And then suddenly he sees there's another plane that's taking Suniti as well. And in that purport, Srila Prabhupada, in his humility comments, says, I have no qualification. But if one of my disciples can become like Dhruva and go back to Godhead, then because of my connection with them, I will also go back to Godhead. In his humility, Srila Prabhupada says this, that because of my connection to one of my disciples who achieves the spiritual world, I will also achieve him. And therefore we find sthanam here as well. Protection of the Lord. Dhruva is protected. He conquers death and achieves sthanam, the spiritual world of Vaikuntha. Then in the 4th canto is another story of sthanam. Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj initiates Ashwamedha Yajna, 100 Ashwamedha Yajnas. He wants to perform 100 sacrifices and he performs 99. Successful. And there's one person who's just too anxious. He's the only person in the universe who has the record and the title of having performed 100 sacrifices. And he thinks this guy is a competition to me. Happens in book distribution also. Oh, he's distributing 100 books. I have held the title of 100. How? Everyone has been 50, 60. Hey, I have been Shatakratu. Indra's name is Shatakratu. He performed 100 Ashwamedha Yajnas. No one did it. And now, Prithu is coming to 99 and Indra cannot handle it. How can there be a second Shatakratu? That title is only for me. How can there be a second preacher better than me? How can there be a second book distributor better than me? How can anyone go beyond my score, I can't allow that. And if I can't allow that, then I have to do something. Hare Krishna. I have to do something. So when Prithu finishes 99 sacrifices, Indra comes down in the guise of a sannyasi, puts the robes of a sannyasi and steals the sacrificial horse away. Prithu sends his son to no avail and again initiates the 99 sacrifice. Again Indra comes and several times this happens and Lord Brahma comes to Prithu and says, stop it, man. Just stop it, man. It's all right if you don't do the 100. Why don't you stop Indra? That's the guy who's having trouble. I am doing the right thing. Prithu doesn't say that. And all of a sudden Lord Vishnu appears along with Indra. As if Indra is the hero of the episode. And says to Prithu, stop it. Prithu agrees to stop the sacrifice and only finishes 99 to allow Indra to keep his title of Shatakratu, or the one who performed 100 Ashwamedha Yajnas. Prithu performs 99 Yajnas, but the Lord is not pleased with those 99 Yajnas. The Lord is pleased with his 100th yajna. Who said Prithu didn't do the 100th yajna? We thought Prithu didn't perform the 100th sacrifice. He did perform the 100th sacrifice. The 100th yajna was the yajna of his opinion. He sacrificed his opinion, and that yajna was more pleasing to Lord Vishnu than the 99 yajnas of Swaha, 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 with so much ghee being poured in. Idam Indraya Swaha, Idam Namama, Idam Vishnave Swaha, Idam Namama. 99 of those sacrifices were performed. Lord Vishnu was not as happy. The 100th yajna didn't have any ghee, didn't have any mantras. That sacrifice was a sacrifice of his opinion. It's all right. It's all right. If this is what pleases the Lord, I'm willing to keep my opinion aside. And who became more famous? Indra? No. Prithu Maharaj became more famous because of sacrificing his personal opinion to hold the title of Shatakratu and allowing Indra to keep it. Sthanam. The Lord protects the position of Prithu. And then of course, the story of Prachina Barhishat and the Prachetas also comes in the 4th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, where Lord Shiva speaks to the Prachetas, the Rudra Gita. The 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam also has an episode where the Lord protects his devotees. The beginning of the 5th canto is a gentleman whose name is Priyavrata. And Priyavrata is a brahmachari, a staunch brahmachari. He is a disciple of Narad Muni, and Narad Muni has asked him to meditate and serve the Lord in his meditation. And suddenly Lord Brahma finds there is no one to rule. So he comes to Priyavrata and says to Priyavrata, my dear son, get married and take charge of the throne. There is a need. Your remaining a brahmachari is not going to work. There is a need. You may want to be a brahmachari, you may want to do what you want to do, but there is a need that you get married and take care of the throne. Priyavrata is attached to be a brahmachari. Narad Muni is his guru. Narad Muni also submits. Whatever Brahma says, no problem. And Priyavrata gets married. A brahmachari changes his ashram. Priyavrata moves out of the brahmachari ashram and becomes a grihastha. Now taking charge of the throne. Now taking charge of the administrative affairs. And there is so many things that entangle his mind. So many things that catch his mind. For him, life in the ashram with nothing, no wife, no children, nothing, no financial responsibilities was an easy life. Now suddenly, all his responsibilities have come on his head. He fears entanglement. He fears of being bound, bound in the cycle of entanglement. Srila Prabhupada, one of the sannyasis left Krishna consciousness, and Srila Prabhupada was sitting and a devotee came and said, Srila Prabhupada, any sannyasi who falls down, how can we accept him? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected Chota Haridas. Will you reject him, Srila Prabhupada? Srila Prabhupada said, Lord Chaitanya could do it. I cannot. I still need him to assist me in the mission of spreading Lord Chaitanya's message. I'll accept him. A devotee came to Srila Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, the sannyasi is doing this, that, and he's doing all wrong things and is falling away from the path of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said, he's simply a rascal, and I don't want to see his face again in my life. He said this to His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. And then Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, really? You'll not see him again? Srila Prabhupada said to Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he said, he is a rascal. But what to do? I love that rascal so much. I cannot do it. I have to get him back. Grihe thako, bane thako, sada hari, bole dako, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said. Whether it's household life or whether it's brahmachari or sannyasi life, the ultimate goal is sada hari, bole dako, to chant the holy names of Krishna. But Priyavrata realized it is difficult. And he did get entangled at a point of time. What is sthanam? Krishna protected him. When that responsibility was given to him, and because it was given to him and he did it with his heart, although there was some entanglement, he was protected and brought back to the stage of pure devotional service. Then in the 5th canto comes the story of the incarnation of the Lord Rishabdev. And Rishabdev has 100 sons. And the oldest of all sons is Bharat Maharaj. Such a man, such a great soul. And after that Bharat, India was known. For that matter, then the planet was known Bharatvarsha. And we hear the story of Bharat coming to such a level of spiritual advancement to the stage of Bhava. On the banks of the river Gandaki, gets distracted by a deer. And after getting distracted by a deer, is reborn as a deer. And his next life is as Jad Bharat. But even in his life as a deer, having the full memory of his devotional service in his previous life is sthanam, protection. Lord Krishna offers protection to the devotional service that a devotee has rendered. Nothing goes in vain. Even in the body of a deer, he could remember. And for now this deer was not frivolous. This deer would sit and only listen to the discourses that the sages would give on the banks of the river Gandaki. We had a boy in Bombay. He was studying in a very reputed institute, IIT Bombay. And once while, he used to come for our program and chant a few rounds of Hare Krishna. Nice boy. Very nice devotee. And then once on his way to Pune, he met with an accident and lost his memory. Completely lost his memory. Couldn't remember anything. No one and nothing. The only one thing he remembered was Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. It happened in front of us. That man was a patient of amnesia, lost his memory totally. The only one thing that stayed in his mind was the Hare Krishna mantra. And the doctors were surprised. What is this? He doesn't remember who he is, where he is, what he is, but he remembers the holy name. If you read that mail by His Holiness Niranjan Swami Maharaj about Mother Isha, whom he went to meet in Boston, the doctors and the nurses were surprised. She couldn't recognize herself, she couldn't recognize anyone. All she remembered was the Panchatattva mantra, and Srila Prabhupada, she kept talking the Panchatattva mantra. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktamrinda. Sthanam. Krishna protects the credits of the devotional service of his devotee. In Europe, one little child was born, probably a decade back. And this child, just as the child started to grow to be born to devotees, and because they were living away from the temple, there was no question of going to the temple. And the parents used to be so caught up that they would not have a morning program. They would simply chant their rounds, both the mother and the father. And this little child, about 1.5 years old, started speaking. And the first thing that the child started doing is started singing samsara prayers. Samsara dava nala leeda loka taranaya karunya gana ganatva. So the parents were surprised. They knew. Because they're devotees, they knew. So they asked, devotee in past life? He said yes. And then said, Prabhupada disciple? Said yes. About a decade back I heard one Prabhupada disciple telling the story. Krishna protects the memory of his devotee. Bharat Maharaj's story tells us that kind of protection, sthanam. And then in the end of the 5th canto, there is a description of the forest of material enjoyment. There's a whole nice description. Which place do you want to go for vacation? Whole tourism options, all the tourism options are given. Jambu Dweep, this Dweep, that Dweep, rivers of wine, rivers of wine, rivers of mango juice. I don't know what do you do in a river of mango juice. Rivers of mango juice and all kinds of things. All these planetary systems, all the 14 planetary systems are described in the material universe, And after describing all these, all the heavenly planets are described. And Srila Prabhupada gave so much importance to the 5th canto. Vedic cosmology, so much important, that he wanted, based on the 5th canto, the temple of Vedic planetarium in Mayapur. And it's so amazing now the whole project is coming up, and Prabhupada wanted a whole chandelier coming down, showing all the planetary systems. And he wanted all the devotees to go around seeing all the planetary systems and all the planets. Srila Prabhupada gives so much importance to the 5th canto. See? So the description of the forest of material enjoyment is given, all the planetary systems, the heavenly planets, and the demigods' prayers. The demigods are all praying. We are on a cruise liner. How many have been on a cruise liner? If you have ever been in a cruise liner with His Holiness Bhakticharu Swami Maharaj, that's a different cruise liner. There we all chanted Hare Krishna and were in satsang. But the other cruises, my God, the comfort and the opulence. If you go on a cruise, an expensive one, can forget Krishna easily. Very easily. One devotee, after coming from the cruise, I know him, he was saying, Prabhu, we went on that cruise with this whole devotee group, and you know what? We had to chant Hare Krishna. Do you go on a cruise to chant? We had to chant Hare Krishna. I didn't want to, Prabhu. There's such amazing things to do there. I chant Hare Krishna. You can imagine the demigods, heavenly planets. What's a cruise in front of the heavenly planets? If on a cruise it is easy to forget Krishna, you can imagine the devatas with Urvashi and Rambha and Tilottama and Mandakini. All these are apsaras, by the way. Such beautiful heavenly damsels. And the music, the Gandharva sing, oh my God, oh my God. Too captivating. And the demigods offer a prayer saying, my dear Lord, this is too much, we can't remember you easily. We don't want to stay here. Please give us a berth in Bharatvarsha. This is a verse, huh? Don't think this is nationalistic fervor. You all might think, I'm from India and this is nationalistic fervor and I'm saying, promoting India. It's a verse saying, give us birth in Bharatvarsha. And I was saying yesterday, why birth in India? Very simple. Birth in India, miseries cannot be camouflaged. Here it is cold outside, warm inside. You don't find the trouble, In India it's cold outside and cold inside. Heaters don't work. There's nothing like a heater. Even if you put a heater, it'll probably heat 1 square foot of the area that is around you. It doesn't work, So in India to realize miseries is very easy. The demigods realize we are so blissed, so happy here. We don't realize the importance of surrendering to Krishna. We want a dash of misery. Then we'll probably be able to take Krishna consciousness seriously. And in India, if you are in a metropolitan city like Mumbai, Hare Krishna. We can very easily understand. Krishna, I have to take shelter of you. One person was asking, Prabhuji, why do you travel so much in local trains? I said, we get a free massage. We don't need anything. Local trains in Bombay, so crowded, Hare Krishna. Hell. You see? And this is Sthanam. Our acharyas have explained this desire of the demigods to offer this prayer. Krishna protects their desire in the middle of all opulence. They are in the middle of all opulence, and opulence generally distracts us. But in the middle of all this opulence in these higher planets, the demigods are making a desire that we want to be born in Bharatvarsha, to take Krishna consciousness seriously. Krishna protects that desire. And at the end of the 5th canto, there is the description of the 27 hellish planets. The whole cosmos is described, the higher and the lower planets. And when this whole description is given, the 5th canto ends. The 3rd, 4th and the 5th canto is the 3rd topic of the Bhagavatam, Sthanam, which means how Krishna offers protection to his devotees. The 3rd and the 4th canto are the thighs of the Lord. Thighs of the Lord. The 5th canto represents the waist of the Lord. So till now we have come till the waist of Gokulananda. In our discussion and darshan, it is like going from the lotus feet, canto 1 and 2, thighs, canto 3 and 4, waist, the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The 4th topic of the Srimad Bhagavatam is Poshanam. Atra sarga visargascha sthanam poshanam. And Poshanam means Poshanam tad anugraha. Poshanam means the mercy of the Lord. Mercy that nourishes. What kind of mercy? Not just mercy. Mercy that goes beyond all external considerations of right and wrong. Even if a devotee makes a mistake, Krishna is willing to protect his devotee and pull him back to his lotus feet. That is called Poshanam. It's not just mercy. It's not that when we do right, then Krishna is good with us. Even if a devotee does wrong, Krishna still pulls him back. That is called Poshanam. Apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhag sadhur eva samantavyah samyak vyavasito hisa. Lord Krishna says in the Gita that even if my devotee falls down and does something durachar, absolutely abominable activities, still one must consider him a sadhu. Why? Because that kind of fall down, Srila Prabhupada explains, is accidental fall down, not intentional fall down. It's not that he meditated on it and he did it wrong. Circumstantially, situationally, slipped. And then he regrets. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, such a devotee regrets, oh, what a blot I am on the society of Vaishnavas that I did this kind of an abominable thing. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that regret of his purifies him. Such a sadhu. Everyone should consider him a sadhu. Lord Krishna recommends. And one who considers such a person a sadhu, despite his apparently abominable activities, such a person, kshipram bhavati dharmatma. Very soon such a person is considered to becomes religious in his merit because he thinks such a devotee to be a sadhu. Lord Krishna, in the 6th canto, reveals to us, Shukadeva Goswami reveals to Parikshit Maharaj, how despite many mistakes made, Krishna protects his devotees. And it begins with the story of Ajamil. Such a powerful Brahmana. Very powerful, very virtuous, very pious Brahmana. But even in those days, despite piety and despite such culture, when he saw this one scene of a prostitute hugging a man, he was contaminated, And therefore, culture can protect no one. Simply culture cannot protect us now. If it's someone saying, I'm coming from an Indian Hindu family and I have been brought up with certain things, therefore nothing will change me. I am in London, but I am, my mother, father brought me up in certain way and I know I won't do it. Ajamil then, with only one distraction, with such piety, got distracted. And in a city like London, God, there are so many distractions. How can one save oneself, Hare Krishna. Ajamil gave up his spiritual practice, got this prostitute home, and begot in her 10 children. The last child was begotten at the age of 88. He gave birth to his last child at the age of 88. And he was a sin king, engaging in all kinds of sinful activities and became the king of all sins practically. And because of being a sin king, he was sinking in his spiritual life, sinking down. But son was named Narayan. Narayan, come here. Beta Narayan, did you eat your food? Narayan, 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 Narayan. He was so attached to his little child, he kept calling, Narayan, let's play Narayan, Tim, Narayan, Narayan. No, don't cry, Narayan, 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 Narayan. And Srila Prabhupada recommended, therefore, one should name the children in the family with some nice names of Krishna, Ram. Because even if one doesn't chant the names of Krishna somehow, or whatever reason, at least by saying, Ram, did you study? Ram, exams are there tomorrow. Ram, come on, Ram, come on. Chastising, Ram, do it right. Ram, Ram, Krishna, Ram, Narayan. Ajamil kept saying Narayan, 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 Narayan all his life. And suddenly, death came. The Yamadutas arrived. 3 of them. Because he had committed sins with his body, his words, and his mind. 3 Yamadutas came to take him away. They were fearsome. Ajamil was scared to death seeing the Yamadutas, horrified, As he was horrified, he called out, Narayan! Narayan! As soon as he said Narayan, 4 Vishnudutas came, because Narayan has 4 syllables, Narayana. He performed sins with his body, word and his mind. 3 Yamadutas came, but 4 Vishnudutas came to rescue him. And there was a whole conversation between the Vishnudutas and the Yamadutas, My God. And the Yamadutas were confused. No one has ever stopped us. We always had full power. This is the first time that we have been stopped. And they went to Yamaraj and started asking Yamaraj this question. Yamaraj was very happy, extremely happy. And he said, Namo Charana Mahatmya, Aho Pashyata Putraka. He said, my dear sons, very affectionately he addressed them. Because for the first time they asked a philosophical question. And he got a chance to give a Bhagavatam class. Otherwise the only discussions between them is, he has to be burnt. Should we fry him? Should we toast him or roast him? Should we peel him? Bhatti chal nahi raha hai. The flame is gone up. These are the discussions between Yamaraj and Yamadutas, and Yamaraj is a Mahajan. Mahajan with no Krishna Katha. So when the Yamadutas came and asked, hey, what is this issue? Oh, these 4 people stopped us. Yamaraj said, now listen, long time I've been waiting to give a class. I have not been able to give a class. Now listen to me. And then Yamaraj spoke about the glories of the holy name to the Yamadutas. One boy came to us in Bombay and said, hey, Ajamil was a great life manager. What life management, incredible. Did all wrong things and then one Narayan. Finish. He said, amazing. Even I can do like that, no? Do all wrong things and one Narayan. Finished. I said, for Ajamil it works. Because he didn't commit any offenses to the holy name and he didn't know it was the holy name. Don't know glories of the holy name. Won't work for you. Take it seriously, chanting Hare Krishna. Ajamil made a mistake, Mistake of giving up his culture, giving up his devotion to the Lord. Poshanam means despite that mistake, the Lord came to rescue him. This chapter shows the glory of the holy name. And Parikshit had asked the question, how would this soul's be freed from the influence of the hellish planets? That you explained in the 5th canto, Shukdev Goswami. So this episode begins like this. Then the next chapter is Daksha. Again, the father-in-law. Daksha, the seed of his offense to Shiva is not gone yet, Not gone yet. And Narad Muni is thinking, when will this man change, Daksha gave birth to 10,000 sons. Powerful father. Powerful man gave birth to 10,000 sons. A man was sitting outside a maternity ward and the nurse came out and said, congratulations sir, congratulations, you got twins. I said, really? I got twins? It doesn't look like it's coincidence. I am the CEO of Double Rose Incense Company. Double Rose and twins. Wow. After a while the nurse came out and looked at another guy. Said, sir, you got triplets? I said, really? Wow. No coincidence. I am the CEO of 3M, sticky notes. 3 and 3. So one man hung his face and was walking off. The nurse said, sir, your wife is still in the maternity ward. Why are you leaving? He said, I am the CEO of 7-Up. So, I don't know what comes after, in the future. My God. Daksha begot 10,000 sons. Powerful father. And then Narad Muni came and preached to them and said, join the temple. He wanted 10,000 sons to procreate and increase the progeny, and Narad Muni made all 10,000 brahmacharis. No procreation, no any further. And Daksha was wild. But he said, anyway, I won't do anything. He begot 1,000 more. 1,000 more sons. So Narad Muni came to the 1,000 sons and said, look, in the Vedic culture, the duty of the younger brother is to follow the older brother. See, all your 10,000 brothers are there meditating on the Lord. You also go. So the 1,000 brothers were also taken away. So 11,000 sons of Daksha, all brahmacharis. And after making them do that, Narad came to confront Daksha straight. And when he came to confront Daksha, Daksha was wild and he cursed Narad Muni. He said, I curse you, that may you never have any homes to stay and may you always keep moving from one place to the other. And Srila Prabhupada's purport is so beautiful. Prabhupada says because Daksha was a Grihastha and he thought house is so important, he thought for Narada also house is so important. But Narada was blissful, thank you. Now I can go around and preach more. And then Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, just like Narad Muni, even we are trying to make many of these young boys and girls join our temple and their parents are so upset with us that they have cursed us. And just like they have cursed Narad Muni because we have received this curse, now we are not able to stay in any place more than 2 to 3 days. Prabhupada's purport said maximum I can stay in a temple for 1 week and I am just moving around like Narad Muni. And then Srila Prabhupada makes an appeal in that purport. He says, but now we want to stop traveling and finish this task of writing the Srimad Bhagavatam. We want to transfer this curse to our young disciples. Prabhupada is saying this. We want to transfer the curse of Narad Muni to young disciples so that they can start traveling. And we can peacefully sit and focus on writing commentaries on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada, my God, at the age of 70, traveling all around. One time a devotee said, Prabhupada, I want to simply be a dust particle at your lotus feet and I simply want to stay at your lotus feet eternally. Prabhupada said, no, because my lotus feet are always moving, constantly traveling. And when a reporter asked, Swamiji, why are you traveling in these expensive jet planes? He said, the world is going at jet speed to hell, so I'm catching up in a jet plane to catch them and preach to them, traveling all around the world, Poshanam, Daksha made this big mistake of offense to Lord Shiva. He made an offense to Narada by cursing him. Still, despite that mistake, because he's a devotee of the Lord and does whatever service is asked of him, the Lord protects him and gives his mercy to him, Then there is a story in the 6th canto of Indra. Indra offending Brihaspati, his spiritual master. Does not respect his spiritual master, offends him. And because of that offense to Brihaspati, he loses all his opulences because the demons come and attack him. He approaches Lord Brahma. Brahma says the only way is there is, the son of Twashta, Vishwarup, go to him, he'll perform a sacrifice for you and things will be okay. So Indra and all the demigods go to Vishwarup and Vishwarup is performing the sacrifice. From his father's side is related to the demigods, from the mother's side is related to the demons. So while he's offering the oblations, he's offering oblations to the demigods externally, but internally he's also offering it to the demons, the benefit. And Indra comes to know. So Indra chops off the head of Vishwarup. Already offended, one mistake, made an offense to Brihaspati. Second mistake, chops off the head of Vishwarup. Twashta is so angry, he starts a fire sacrifice. A yajna to give birth to a demon who will be the cause of killing Indra. But because he chants a mantra in a wrong way, a demon is born who will be killed by Indra. The name of the demon, Vritrasura, fierce demon, comes out of this fire sacrifice. Thank God, there's no such strings attached to the holy name of Krishna. Otherwise, imagine all the varieties of ways we chant if the results would be otherwise. Hare Krishna. Vritrasur is born. And there is a big fierce battle between Vritrasur and Indra. Although Vritrasur is apparently a demon, he shows devotee consciousness. Suddenly he starts offering prayers to the Lord. My dear Lord, I don't care. He tells Indra, use your thunderbolt, kill me. I don't care. Why are you scared? His thunderbolt falls down. He says, pick up Indra, pick up the thunderbolt and kill me. Because I don't want to stay in this rotting material world. You want your position of heaven. I want to go back to the Lord, to the spiritual world. And he's offering prayers to the Lord. I want shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. I want to be a servant of the servant. And then Parikshit has a question, how is a demon offering prayers to the Lord? And then Shukadeva Goswami goes on to tell the story of Chitraketu. How Chitraketu was cursed by Mother Parvati, and to become a demon. And Chitraketu was actually a devotee. But because of that curse, he took this birth as a demon. And this episode shows Anugraha, despite a mistake made, despite a small mistake made of laughing, when he saw Parvati sitting on the lap of Lord Shiva, just smiled. The Lord always gives mercy and protects. And of course, the 6th canto ends with the birth of the 49 Maruts, and that is the end of canto 6. Canto 5 is the waist of the Lord. Canto 6 is the chest of the Lord. Right? And that is the 5th topic. The next topic is Utayaha. 7th canto is Utayaha. Uti means that which produces. Utayaha, desires and activities. The whole 7th canto talks about Shubha Karma and Ashubha Karma. Pious activities and impious activities. The example of impious activities, Hiranyakashipu. The example of pious activities, Prahlad. Two characters, contrasting characters are shown in the 7th canto. The whole canto is about two of them. Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu. Utayaha means activities, karmas. Ashubha karma or impious activities is Hiranyakashipu, and Shubha karma or pious activities is Prahlad Maharaj. And Prahlad Maharaj's devotion attracts Lord Narasimhadev to come and protect him from the pillar, and that's 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes the next topic, Utayaha. The topic after that is Manvantara. Manvantara. What is Manvantara? This is the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, this whole topic of Manvantara is taken up. All the different Manus who rule, and in each of those Manus rule, which incarnation of the Lord came. So the chapter begins with the rule of Tamasa Manu, and the story of Gajendra is given there. How the Lord appears to protect Gajendra. Then during Chakshusha Manu, there was the churning of the milk ocean, Samudra Manthan, and how the Lord appeared in so many different incarnations to help the demigods. And the final incarnation was Mohini Murti, to share the nectar with the demigods. In this chapter also appears the story of Bali Maharaj, and Vamanadev appears, in the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Manvantara means the rule of the different Manus, and in each Manu's rule, which incarnations came. That is the next topic of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That is canto 8 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the 2 arms of the Lord. Right. 2 arms of the Lord. Then we come to the 9th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which talks about Ishanukatha. And this canto has all kind of scandalous affairs. This canto is a canto full of scandals. King Sudyumna becomes a woman, he is a man, she becomes a woman, then again a man. And Pururava and Urvashi and their affairs and all kind of exotic descriptions. My God. This whole canto is full of scandals, Yayati and Devayani and Sharmishtha. And one is thinking, what are all these stories doing here? In the Srimad Bhagavatam. The 9th canto shows us that in the material world, wherever we are, whoever we are, we can forget Krishna and get involved in all kinds of things. And prepares us for the 10th canto. That is the only place where there is love. All these love stories appear in the 9th canto. And frustration of all the love stories appears in the 9th canto. To show that true love is in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam in Krishna. And here also the story of Lord Ram appears. And therefore it's called Isha Anukatha. The story of Ishvara. Therefore this Isha Anukatha refers to Lord Ramachandra. And the 9th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam represents the neck of the Lord. Neck of the Lord. And then of course, one comes to the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the personal life of Krishna. The the personal life of Krishna, his name, his form, his qualities, his pastime, his beauty, his interactions with the devotees, all of his personal pastimes. That is the last topic called Ashraya. Ashraya means shelter. The whole Bhagavatam is meant to bring one to this conclusion. The whole subject of the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada translated the Samam Bonam. The Samam Bonam of the Bhagavatam is Krishna, the 10th canto. And therefore His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, even before he finished the whole Bhagavatam, he gave Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Krishna book, because he knew this is the summary of the Bhagavatam. If I don't live till then, no, I should give it to the world. So even before the other cantos came, Krishna book came because Prabhupada wanted to give the Samam Bonam. And we can say, 10th canto, how much can we speak? Can keep going on and on and on about the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna's incredible sweet pastimes in Vrindavan, in Mathura, at Kurukshetra, and in Dwarka. All four categories of pastimes are explained in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the face of the Lord. And the chapters between 29 to 35, which is the Ras Leela chapters, Ras Panchadhyaya chapters, is the smile of the Lord. Those 5 chapters are considered to be the smile of the Lord. Then we move on to the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The 11th canto describes the topic called Nirodha. Topic called, I'm sorry. The 11th canto describes a topic called Mukti. And Mukti means liberation from this material world. Right? How does one get Mukti? What is Mukti? Muktir hitva anyatha rupam swarupena vivastitihi. Mukti means to give up one's false designations and to come to the designation that I am a servant of Krishna. And that can happen even here. One doesn't have to quit the body to be liberated. That is the ultimate liberation. But while one is in the material world, if one has given up his false designations and identifies oneself as a servant of Guru and Krishna, that is Mukti. In the 11th canto we find Lord Krishna speaking to Uddhava, the process of liberation or Mukti. And in the 11th canto we find the story of Avdut Brahmana, who learns from the 24 Gurus, the things that are in the material nature. In the 11th canto we find Nimi Maharaj meeting the Nava Yogendras and their discussions with them. It's an incredible book. Amazing pastimes there. And the 11th canto is considered to be the forehead of Lord Krishna. And the last is the 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which discusses the topic of Nirodha or destruction, annihilation. 4 kinds of destruction is described in the 12th canto. First is the constant destruction that is happening. Constant change, like the body. Slowly, steadily, constantly it's getting destroyed towards death. That is the first kind of destruction. Second destruction is called Naimittika Pralaya. When Brahma goes to sleep, then there is occasionally destruction of the planetary systems. Third destruction is called Prakritika Pralaya, which means when Brahma's lifespan is over, the complete cosmos is destroyed. And the fourth is called Atyantika Pralaya. This is the best part of the Pralaya. Atyantika Pralaya means the false ego being destroyed. False ego being destroyed. Which has nothing to do with destruction outside. The false ego is gone, and that is liberation. When the false ego is gone, one can ascend to the spiritual world. And the 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be the crown of the Lord. The crown of the Lord. In this way, the whole Bhagavatam progresses from the first canto till the 12th canto, like darshan of the Lord, from the lotus feet till the turban or the crown of the Lord. And then in the 12th canto, there is description by Suta Goswami to Shaunaka Rishi about the symptoms of the age of Kali, and then the death of Parikshit Maharaj. As Shukdev Goswami finished reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj requested Shukdev Goswami, now I want to leave my body. 7 days and 7 nights were over, and Parikshit Maharaj fixed his mind on Krishna and left the body. And after he left, then Takshaka, the snake bird, came and bit him. It's not that the Takshaka was the cause of the death of Parikshit. Parikshit had already, you can read the Bhagavatam, there are verses saying it. Parikshit had already departed. And then the snake bird came and bit Maharaj Parikshit. Fixing his mind on the Supreme Lord, he left for the spiritual world completely soaked in devotion to the lotus feet of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam concludes the last verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, last verse. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Shamanas Tam Namami Harim Param. That the conclusion of it all is Nama Sankirtan, chanting of the holy names of Krishna. And where Bhagavatam ends, Chaitanya Charitamrita begins. The Nam Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. Srimad Bhagavatam ends with the holy name and Nam Sankirtan, and Lord Chaitanya comes, inaugurates, and spreads the Sankirtan movement, and that is Chaitanya Charitamrita. Therefore Prabhupada said Bhagavad Gita is the undergraduate study of Krishna consciousness. Srimad Bhagavatam is the postgraduate study of Krishna consciousness. And Chaitanya Charitamrita is the postdoc study, PhD study of Krishna consciousness. And thanks to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada for his painstaking efforts, for having given us the Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, I have no choice. Since we have to finish this, I have to just rush through it, Such incredible purports, such incredible reflections in his purports. Painstakingly has written this commentaries. We want to bow our heads at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada for having given us such an incredible literature. The Srimad Bhagavatam, 12 cantos, 18 volumes. The 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas were compared to a bow. A bow has 4 bends. 2 on the ends, and 2 in the middle, if you've seen a bow. So the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas were compared to the 4 bends of the bow. Lord Chaitanya came to unite all the 4. So Lord Chaitanya is compared to the string which ties up all the 4 Sampradayas. And therefore Lord Chaitanya took 2 teachings from all the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas. The 6 Goswamis, the followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, are compared to the feathers of the arrow that is released from the bow. These feathers direct the bow rightly. The feathers are meant to direct the bow properly and give that force to the bow to go ahead. So although the Lord Chaitanya came and took these teachings, it was the 6 Goswamis who now wrote all these literatures to allow Lord Chaitanya's teachings to go to the world. And the shaft, the arrow, which came from the 6 Goswamis is the Gaudiya Math, established by His Divine Grace Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, which was all meant to spread the teachings of Lord Chaitanya in the world. But an arrow can never have an impact unless there is the arrowhead, the tip, which goes and hits the target hard. That arrowhead, that tip, is His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So beginning from the 4 Sampradayas, Lord Chaitanya, 6 Goswamis and the Gaudiya Math, it was Srila Prabhupada who was released from that bow and the arrow flew all the way towards the Western world. Unfortunately, it didn't fly on a plane, went on a Jaladuta steamship with 2 heart attacks and seasickness, and there it came, creating such a powerful impact on the world through this Vaishnava literatures, distributing the books. Srila Prabhupada tirelessly wrote these books, and Srila Prabhupada's followers tirelessly, spending sleepless day and nights, distribute the books. That day Premanama Prabhu said, I made a mistake in saying how many books are distributed. I said about whatever million, 50 million, whatever I said. Because I'm in India, we go in lakhs and crores, so the conversion was wrong. It was 500 million books. From the time Srila Prabhupada wrote his books, 500 million books have already been distributed. So we have to thank Srila Prabhupada for his contribution to the world and for his contribution to our personal lives, because of whom we are all practicing Krishna consciousness. And just to summarize the 10 topics, Sarga and Visarga, Canto 2, Sthanam, Canto 3, 4 and 5, Poshanam, Canto 6, Utayaha, Canto 7, Manvantaraha, Canto 8, Ishanukatha, Canto 9, Ashraya, Canto 10, Mukti, Canto 11, and Nirodha, Canto 12. First two cantos, lotus feet of the Lord. Third and fourth canto, thighs of the Lord. Fifth canto, waist of the Lord. Sixth canto, chest of the Lord. Seventh and eighth canto, arms of the Lord. Ninth canto, neck of the Lord. 10th canto, face of the Lord. Ras Panchadhyay, smile of the Lord. 11th canto, forehead of the Lord. And the 12th canto is the crown of the Lord. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.